All right, so we are doing some variable stuff with square roots, and it's gonna be funny because everything this is, remember, we're just dealing with the positives. So we're only working with the positive roots, because when you get into algebra 2, if you're at Kelly Walsh, you'll probably have me as a teacher, and it is a little different than what I'm going to show you on this video. But for Algebra 1, it's a really good start as to what we're doing. So you got to remember, in Algebra 1, they're just kind of introducing you to. So like when you go in swimming, you kind of like dip your foot in the pool and see how cold it is. Like, we're not jumping all the way into the deep end, right? We're just kind of learning the beginning of stuff. So I just don't want you to say I was a liar when we learn something new in high school. But what we'll learn in high school goes along with this. It's like the second step to this. So this is an important skill. So square roots with a variable are also known as a monomial square root. So like it says in the notes there, if m is a multiple of 2, so you're looking at the m inside of there. If m is a multiple of 2, then you're going to do m divided by 2. You're going to divide by the index. So I think the easiest way actually is to show this with this first problem. Okay, you know that if it's x squared, that's really x times x. So just like if you're square rooting 9, isn't that 3 times 3? And the square root of 9 is 3. It's whatever's inside of there. So your answer is x. Okay, and so you're doing that because you're taking this 2 out here and you're taking 2 divided by 2. So you're cutting it into equal groups. So on this next one, if you're doing m to the 6th, that's really m to the 3rd times m to the 3rd, because you're cutting it into 2 equal groups. So the answer is m to the 3rd. So what this textbook's trying to get you to do is to skip this step. It's just to take whatever's inside of here and divide it by 2. Okay, so if we use that rule, then I'm saying the square root of 9 is 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 3k. So, because that would be a 1 if you want to write the 1. So on the next one, the square root of 64 is 8. And so p squared, square root of p to the 4th, you're taking 4 and cutting it into 2 pieces because it's a square root, so you would get 8p squared. The square root of 100 is 10, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, the square root of 49 is 7, and then you're doing 2 divided by 2, so that's 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So when they're even, they cut into nice even pieces. Okay, but when they're not a multiple 2, then these get ugly. So what you do is you take out, what is that? You take out a y, just 1, because now it's even, right? And you know the square root of this is y squared, and you're going to leave the y inside. They didn't give us much time to practice this. So I can square root this is a, but I'm going to have to rewrite the b as b times b squared, because 3 does not divide in 2 equal groups. So then I would have ab root b. Okay. So on this next one, this is even and this is even, so I can take those out in front. So x, I was going to say to the first, but you don't have to, and z squared. And now I'm going to split this up as y times y squared. Okay, so the square root of y, so I'd have x z squared y root y. Okay. The square root of 144 is 12, and then I can split this up as k times k squared. So I'd have 12k times root k. And then this would be 9, and that's a perfect square, so s squared. But I would have to rewrite this as r times r to the 6th. Okay, and so then this would be 9s squared r to the 3rd, because you'd cut it into 2 equal pieces, but you're going to have to leave the r inside. 196 is a perfect square. That is on my list. So the square root of 196 is 14. No. Yeah, it is. 14. and I can take out the d squared and be a d, but I'm going to have to rewrite this as c times c to the 5th. So my answer is 14dc c to the 4th c squared. Okay? All right, so what I would like you to do right now, oh gosh, no, we're going to try a couple of these first. Okay, I'm going to do probably like 2. So now they even make them harder. So that's perfect, but 8 isn't. So I can rewrite, this is going to come out and be x to the 3rd, and I can rewrite as 8, 4 times 2. So that would come out in front, so my answer is 2x cubed root 2. Okay, so now they're going to mess with the numbers on you, which makes these horrible. So 50, the x squared would come out in front. 50 is 25 times 2. So the square root of 25 is 5x root 2. Okay, and if you wrote x5 root 2, I'm not going to take off for that. It's not wrong. But I will tell you right now, I would write your numbers first. Okay, so I would like you to pause the video, and I would like you to do these 4 questions. Okay, 68, 4 goes into 68. Well, this I would have to rewrite. That would be, I'm just going to rewrite it all. 4 goes into 68 17 times, and p would have to become p squared. So this is a perfect square, and this is a perfect square. So I'd have 2p root 17p. That is actually your answer. Okay, so on the next one, I'm going to have to rewrite both of them. 45 is 9 times 5, and then this would be n times n to the 10th. This is a perfect square. This is a perfect square. So I would have 3n to the 5th root 5n. Okay. So the next one, 16 can come out. So y to the 8th. Thank you, 16. This is 9 times 3 times x. So when that comes out, it would be 3y to the 8th root 3x. Okay, and these are getting hard. But they're not going to be cubed roots, so that's a nice thing, because algebra 2, we got to do cube roots on top of it. Okay, 180, this would come out y to the 4th, and 180 is 36 times 5, and then I would have times x squared, so perfect square, so I would have 6x y to the 4th, and I don't care what order that's in, and then 5x on the inside. So they do get bigger as you go. Let's just try 22. So 22, I do have one perfect square. So I'm going to have z to the 7th out in front. 63 is 9 times 7. And then x to the 5th would be x times x to the 4th. And 25 would be y times y to the 24th. So you're just taking out one of the y's to make it even. Perfect square, perfect square, perfect square. The cube root of 9 is 3. And then I got the z to the 7th. And then I have x squared, and then I have y to the 12th. And you might write that in a different order. The stuff not highlighted gets left on the inside. So instead of highlighting, some people will circle them. So the stuff circled goes out, the stuff not circled stays in. So this is your homework.